got no cover, no condom. Soul ties are what I thought we had in common. Tryna move forward, but I'm starting from the bottom. Let's talk about sex, baby, causing all these problems. Break yourself down so it's love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do. Speak to your healing. Stop playing victim. Inside is nothing. What am I missing? Kids resenting. Hide the feeling. People inside my vision. Hurt the lies of Christians. I played the villain. Now I cry for healing. I forgotten my vision. Mess with no business. I can't accept the mess I left. How do I fix it? Why not listen? I let you down. Hey world, what's up? Welcome to the No Condom podcast. It's your boy, music professional and host, Jastin Artis. And you know I'm here with my dearly beloved MS warrior and creative writer, Kellie B. Kellie, what's going on with you? How you doing? How you been? How you doing and how you been?
Hey there, everyone listening. Thank you. So I would say I've been well. And I'm super excited because pretty soon we will be visiting my former work mom. So I'm super excited about that.
Yes.
Have a nice little getaway for the weekend. And to be honest, guys, I don't know about you all, but I'm still processing that Trump is our president once again.
True.
So yeah. I'm still processing my feelings, my emotions, all the things I'm still processing. And then on top of that, I will say that I have been actively doing some self-reflection the past couple of weeks.
Okay.
And, I know we all know, therapy and things, it's a little pricey. So I'm doing my best to find other avenues to help me out in that area. So that's all I really got going on. Yes.
That's good.
So, babe, what's been going on in your world?
Yes, well, as always, I want to give thanks to God. Thank you so much, Lord. Thank you so much. And of course, to you, my lovely wife, I love you. And Jason and Jameis, I love you. Jameis, rest in heaven. I would definitely, I just want to give love to you, and I call it knowing how to feed yourself. So whatever that is, whatever that looks like, I think we all have to figure that out. And so like you said, with therapy, yes, therapy is great, but yeah, it's pricey like everything else out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you take action in figuring out what other ways can I do this to feed myself, I always think that's dope. So, and we got the holidays coming up, and finally we're going to be able to get away. So
hey,
going to be more excited about that. Let's see, what else is going on in my world? It's been a long month. It definitely has been a long month. Health-wise, a lot has been going on. You mentioned processing the election. I'm still trying to process some of these new things that we found out about me. So overall, I'm in a good place, but I still think I'm processing and just preparing myself, right? So that's definitely probably the first thing, on my brain. But then, of course, because I am a music guy, my 10th album came out. So Love and Darkness 2 is out. The Healing Playlist is out. And I just couldn't be more excited. Honestly, it's long overdue to a degree, Kellie, because I put music out, okay? I'm not signed to a label, but I be putting them out. And for me, this one took a little longer than expected. But as I know, God always puts things out for me in a timely manner or at the right time. So really excited about that. It's paired with a journal for my homies, for my dudes. And of course, it's open to anyone, but I really wanted to make this for my guys to be able to be open and, share what they're feeling, be vulnerable, have a book that they can write it in, but also have music that they can vibe with. So excited about that. The Conscious Leadership Summit happens, and I killed it. It's still roaming around. So I just wanted to, again, shout out to everyone that's been watching, listening, sharing, and gaining something from it. And a big shout out to Expert Channel TV And just remember, y'all, creatives are leaders. That's all I want to say on that. And then lastly, shout out to Invictus. Again, look, Kelly, we still looking for folk, okay?
I know.
Not finding the right folk, but we're still looking. So again, we're a media company and app serving the underrepresented creatives globally for better discovery and pay for our creatives. So we're looking for A&R social media interns. Hit me up with the words Invictus internship. Okay, let me know. We still on the hunt. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me.
So I just want to say really quickly and publicly that I'm so proud of you and keep up all the good things that you are doing. If you all are ready, listeners, Jastin, if you are ready, we have a hot topic for this week, and it's about negative self-talk. So I'm not going to explain anything else. Just let that sink in a little bit. Negative self-talk.
Okay. Roll the clip, Kelly.
Working on yourself, talking to yourself. That's so very important. Overcoming the negative conversation, that inner dialogue that's going on all the time, even when you don't want it to be there. You can't stop yourself right now from thinking. You can't do it. It's going on. And so learning how to empower yourself, part of doing that is standing up to yourself. You've got to stand up inside yourself sometimes and say, shut up. I was going to give a presentation, and this voice inside of me saying, you can't do this. You don't have everything it takes. Shut up. I'm behind on my bills, and you're telling me what I can't do. I have got to do it. You'll get scared sometimes. Your mind will go blank on you. Some people you will allow to unnerve you, and you wonder, what's wrong with me? I'm not crazy. That's why you've got to learn to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to stand up inside yourself. Working on yourself, watching that inner dialogue, it will determine the quality of your life.
He said, shut up.
Okay. He said, shut up.
That's all I heard. That's all I heard, baby. That's all I heard.
So I will say this. This clip from Les Brown, he's a motivational speaker. And I resonated with this clip so much because, babe, as you know, I have a tendency to do negative self-talk. And it is something that I'm working on and continue to work on. Because, as we all know, when you get into that state, you can easily talk yourself out of everything that's positive in your life. Relationships, jobs, switching careers, moving, like just everything you can think of. And then on top of that, for all the believers out there, in scripture, it states that, there's life and death in your tongue. So, besides you being aware of how you speak to others, you also have to be aware of how you speak to yourself. So all I have to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell, but
Yeah, good.
All I have to say is if you find yourself in that cycle of talking negatively to yourself, for one, figure out where it's coming from. Two, combat that. Combat that with something positive that you know that's going on in your life.
Absolutely. I mean, I can just say I know bad self-talk can come from the outside world, but man, the internal is probably bigger at times. Yes. So I agree with everything you said, and it was a powerful talk. I don't know, to be honest, if I'm fully aware of Les Brown, but just hearing this, it was like, oh, I need to dive in. Like, I love being able to dive in on people that I'm not privy to. It's I don't know, it's a beautiful thing. So he's definitely on my list now because the way he just talked in that 1 minute, I'm like, okay, like, is he talking to me? So I love that. Well, Kelly, so we're gonna, dive into today's hard conversation, which today's topic is down to the core. Paired with my song that you heard, Break Down, featuring Grammy-winning producer, my guy Tone Jones. And so
Yes.
this one, I think, is very dear to me, I think, Kelly. So
Aw.
I'll share some pieces about it as we go through it. But our first topic today is the victim mentality. I actually
Oh,
talk about
wow.
this in the song where I'm pointing out, like, sometimes people like to be the victim. You know what I mean? And so there is a mentality about this whole thing. And so we're gonna start there. So Kelly, my first question to you to get us jump started. How
Okay.
does a victim mentality hinder personal growth and prevent us from being our best selves?
Okay. So I'm
Everybody don't see her faces right
right.
now, but that's what the silence was for. She was making faces over here.
Yeah, I because I will say this, I love like our questions that we have for ourselves and the audience because they always are very thought provoking. And so I will say this, uh, accountability is a huge thing because
Yeah.
if you don't take accountability for yourself and for your actions, regardless if you were in the right or the wrong,
Mhm.
you can easily fall into that victim mentality. Oh, so and so did this. Oh, so and so did that. Blah, 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 blah. But at the same token, it's like you have to remember you have some control over that situation too. Regardless if, your actions, um, you know, uh, basically your actions, because in my mind, I'm thinking about like if you're not happy about your job. So instead of you complaining all the time to your friends or whomever about how you don't like your job and how you hate it, and or how they don't give you enough responsibility or whatever the case is, it's like, well, are you looking for another job? Are you taking
Hmm.
trainings so you can be
Come on.
promoted?
Hmm.
Are you putting in that work to show that you can be a leader in some sort? So it's like, yeah, people can mess with you, but at the same time, like, what are you doing about that? Um, so I say accountability is a huge one. But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
babe, I know you're big on accountability too. So I mean, what else do
Absolutely.
you
You
have
know
to add
that's
to it?
that's a big word in our relationship.
Yes.
Is accountability. And the true thing too, Kelly, is you have to be around people that will hold you accountable,
Yes.
right? I've always been a fan of that. I learned that very young. As they say, you don't want no yes folk around you. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at that just because, like, I'm an artist, right? So if I'm sharing music, yes, I want all of my people that I share with tell me, like, Jay, this is good, blah, blah, blah. But look, if it's really not good, if it's, somebody can say, well, Jastin, you did this, but I want to see you, go here. Or sometimes I have gotten, you can go harder, man. And
Right.
I'm like, really? Well, I kind of thought so, but okay, I heard you. Thank you. You know what I mean? Like, so it works on both ends. I think too, having this mentality doesn't allow you to be a whole, complete person. I think that's often what I think about, even when I feel like I'm trying to catch myself from falling into that victim mind state, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot has happened to your boy, right? Like, I feel like, most people, some people haven't had those experiences yet, right? And that's where it
Yeah.
gets scary on how do I handle if something happens. But most of us have experienced something. And I think it's easy to fall into this mind state. But at the same token, it's not helpful. I always say, I actually wrote a song about this. It's cool to have quit feelings, right? So it's cool to have these feelings for a time period, recognizing, okay, this is how I feel right now. But after that, it's like, okay, like you said, where can I take action on this, right? I think sometimes there could be some truth to it, but there comes a point, what you're gonna do about it, how you're gonna change it. And then, it keeps us from being active in our lives, or in other people's lives, right? Because I think there's a hindrance
Yeah.
there too, where, you know, every time you talk to that friend or family member, they're like, how you doing? And then you just, or that person is just, oh, woe is me, Eeyore. And
Yeah.
and it like after the first few times, it's like, okay, man, I hear you, I understand you, but what we doing about it? That's what you
Right.
get from me anyway. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I
Yeah, I
understand, I
do.
get it, but what are we doing about it to remove you from being the victim in this situation, right? And I know it can be hard sometimes, but
It is. It's so hard.
we want to be complete and whole people, man. So we can't allow this mentality to stay with us.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I will say that that I do have a tendency to struggle with the victim mentality sometimes, but
Mhm.
thanks to Jastin, I am working on that, and it's something that I'm moving away from. So, but to his point, make sure you have people around you who are pushing you out of that mindset so that you can see the whole picture. Because it's important, it's important.
Kelly,
So,
real quick,
hmm?
you selling yourself short. You are progressing well, my dear.
Oh,
So
thank you, babe. Thank you.
it's not something that happens overnight,
It's not.
but you trust and believe you are progressing well. And I think even for somebody seasoned, if you will, shoot, it's a
Hmm.
fight. It's a
Yeah.
fight for me sometimes. So, again, give yourself a bit more credit.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know we mentioned accountability, right?
Mhm.
So, like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm trying to get my words together. So, with accountability, it's like what behaviors and things are like signs that people are trapped into this victim mind state.
Girl. Let me go down the list now. um, I want to be kind and what's the word? Just mindful.
Hmm.
Because some people might be in that state right now as they're listening to this, right?
Yes.
And I ain't gonna lie, I felt like maybe in the recent months I have been in and out, right? But
Hmm.
you, this person, I feel like we should give him a name. This person is always, you
Gretchen.
know, would you say always what?
I said Gretchen. Her name's Gretchen.
Oh, Gretchen. Gretchen. Okay, Gretchen. Um, um, they're always blaming someone else. It's the blame game, which I think soon enough keeps them isolated,
Hmm.
right? But they're always blaming someone besides themselves.
Right.
And I think oftentimes that's probably the one of the first signs.
Hmm.
Because I think that's how we kind of start. Like, man, just what happened? People in my job, But then that cycle keeps going. They're
Yeah.
defensive. So anytime that
Hmm.
you try to, dare I say, redirect them,
Hmm.
get them to think about this in a different way, they're always defensive. Like, nah, man, you know what they da 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 da. You don't believe me? You don't, bruh. Gretchen, I ain't
Yes.
say that. But you know what I mean? Calm down, right? um, they also have this no change attitude, like nothing's gonna change. It's always gonna be this way.
Right.
So they have, what was that thing? The bad attitude, you know, and then negativity rules. So every time that you talk
Mm.
to them, it's always negative. And I can't stand
Me
negative
either.
talk. Like I understand,
Me
like
either.
negative talk versus like speaking facts that show
Right.
something is bad.
Yeah, it's a difference.
Completely different. But negative talk, anytime, especially I'm a very positive person, despite what's going on. And anything I say and go negative, like, oh my gosh, like what? I've been around a few people like that. Um, and then I think one other thing I would say is they avoid growing,
Oh.
like however way that happens, whether, family, friends are, hey, you should try, or, I always say, watch how people treat themselves because that's how often they're going to treat you. And
That's
so I
true.
treat myself, I'm always trying to grow. I'm always looking into things. I want to learn. If they're not doing that, then you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind of know that they have this victim mentality. So Kels, what about recognizing, how can we recognize and challenge our victim thinking? And as you kind of said, these are patterns, these are cycles, and they can happen at any moment. So how do you recognize those things?
I'm taking a pause because the only thing I can think of that comes to mind is myself. And I say that because I think in one of the episodes I talked about my mom. So that's coming to mind. Um, as I stated before, my mother and I didn't have the best relationship because she was a substance abuse user. And, prior to her birthing me and throughout my life, she struggled with substance abuse. And because of that, unfortunately, she wasn't the mom I had hoped she would be. All kids, want their mom to be, loving and all the things, right? So unfortunately, my mom wasn't that. And so because of that, I kind of played the victim card when it came to her. Because I'm like, oh, she didn't do this for me or she didn't do that for me. And, she wasn't there and blah, blah, blah. But now that I'm older and she's been deceased for some time now, I recognize that my mother, for one, was human. She did the best that she could. She made mistakes. She didn't have, accountability, like we talked about. She didn't have people there holding her accountable for the things she did or didn't do. And for me, it's like once I recognize those things about my mom, then the blame game kind of went away. Jastin can vouch for me because now when I talk about my mom, it's more so like, babe, you would have loved my mom. She was a hot mess. And it's not like, oh, my mom was some trash and blah, blah, blah. I'm not like speaking about her in a negative way anymore. Now it's more positive. So
Yeah, good for you. It's dope to see the evolution even in our time together and what you've expressed and being able to kind of recognize that in my own life. So it's yeah, it was just a lot of truth there, man. I appreciate your vulnerability on that because I know, again, we going below the surface. These are things that maybe we don't often talk about.
yeah.
Again, people don't hold us accountable to in talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and I never take it for granted when you or anyone shares something so deep like that. So I just want to say thank you. And thank
Yeah.
y'all for, the comments that you may leave on these topics that as we're diving in. We
Yes.
really, really do appreciate it. We've seen some comments recently and it's touchy, y'all. So we appreciate that.
We
Uh,
do.
so Kelly, we're gonna move right along to our next our conversation topic about
Okay.
letting love lead. And
Mm.
I'm gonna hit you with the first question, which I often think can be challenging for most, right? How can we open our hearts to love, even when it feels hard to, difficult, or some would say impossible? And y'all listening, many of us are like, yo, I've been hurt. She hurt me. He hurt me. Moms, dad, like whomever, like I ain't rocking with them. I ain't like bump them. Like, and we know there's a little more language to this, right? Because
Yes.
people hurt people, right?
Yes.
So how can we be open to love when it's been that hard for us?
Hmm. I always like to use myself as an example because that's what comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that prior to meeting Jastin, I was terrified to open myself up to another man. Because ladies, as we know, uh, when men are unfaithful, cheating, lying, all the things, it leaves a scar. And, whatever wall you have up, it adds to those building blocks of that wall,
Right.
and it just gets more dense and more higher. And what opened me up to love again is that Jastin and I started off as friends. And getting to know him on a friend level versus like, I want to get in your pants kind of situation, it really helped because I was able to focus on like, hey, he's cool, I'm cool, let's see if we can be friends. And if something evolves, it evolves. And I will say for us that there wasn't any pressure on either of our sides to try to make something happen. And we just
Mm-hmm.
wanted
Mm-hmm.
it to happen naturally.
Right.
Um, and I would say for me, like that was the key because I wanted something to happen naturally. I mean, of course, we all do. But when it does, those blocks come down bit by bit. And I would say we were friends for a while before we decided to come together in a relationship.
Before I asked you to be my girlfriend.
Yes.
Yes, I actually did that, y'all. I absolutely did.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. I'm actually
Yeah.
having a flashback now when you said that. Like, remember when I asked you to be my girlfriend? So that's funny.
Yeah. And I will also add that lowering those bricks that we all put out. I mean, not I said put out. I meant to say put up. Um, can also help to cultivate self-love. So, babe, like, how do you transition to cultivating like self-love and compassion and things of that nature?
Ooh, I'm like you. That's a good question. I guess the first thing I think of is setting a standard of who I am, what I'm about, that I'm valuable, and I don't accept anything less. And I will say, there's a small amount that if you're accepting less, like what you're doing, right? I would like to
Yeah.
think like you know what this is and know what it isn't, and you accept those things, and that's it. But overall, it's a standard of knowing I'm valuable. And like we talked about on the Fake Friends episode, you got to know your value because if you don't, that's how people mistreat you, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for me at least, I mean, I guess I've been about like setting the standard for me. This is what it is. This, I'm not moving from this. I'm not shying away from this. This is what I'm standing on, right? So that way, when things come, people, start saying, slick things or, trying to manipulate you. I'm not moved by it, right? It's also, there's a huge part of this that, helps the healing process, right? And recognizing where you need to be healed. Like I often, a lot of these topics and these songs, and the reason why I create them is because I feel like there's levels to whatever it is. So, um, figuring out or making adjustments to your self love, and it's a level to it. And so healing, you may be healed to this certain checkpoint, and you good until you feel you're not good.
Right.
And so that, we're talking guilt, shame, self doubt, relationship stuff, anything, right? And then the transformation for me too really lies within decision making, right? We talked about this, I believe, more so in the last episode. And I think when you're not in this space of self love and knowing you and being confident about you and embracing it, man, you make the craziest bad decisions.
Yes.
And, I know for me, God has a way of just still making it work for you, but man. And so if we have these things kind of set, if we're not playing the victim, if we're taking care of ourselves, we can make better decisions and be okay. Sometimes the outcome isn't what we wanted. And, decisions often have consequences, but you're more fulfilled in what you're setting out to do because you have this self-awareness, this self-love, this inner peace about you and how you move. And of course, for me, the most important is, why are you moving the way that you move, right? So for me, like, all of these things have to be in alignment, and it makes everything better. When you're choosing friendships and partners, and again, sometimes things do have a season. That's a whole nother conversation, right? But when you're making choices about your life, who you rocking with, why you do this, da 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 da, it's, man, when you're coming from a loving place and a fulfilling place and a purposeful place, it's so different than just, hey, I'm out here, I'm just gonna do whatever. And yeah, when I see that, I often be like, you funny, you what you call her name? Gretchen, you funny, you cool.
Yeah.
But I can't rock with you like that, Gretchen. I can't, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
I agree.
this moves me, or shall I say we're moving on to another aspect of this. So, Kels, how does fear of vulnerability, the V word, y'all, because I know a lot of people don't want to be vulnerable. But how does the fear of vulnerability hinder our ability to connect with other folk?
Okay, so I will say that although I'm being funny, I'm being serious, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like this episode, I'm being personally attacked because
I hope nobody else feels that way. But I'm just holding you accountable.
because a lot of these things that we're talking about, I have done in my past, and I have worked through a lot of these things. So
Which I still can't believe, y'all. Just to be honest here, I sometimes, y'all, if I heard some of the stuff that I've heard of how she used to be to what, like, when I met her and how it seems like it's complete, like she got a twin somewhere, because I don't believe it. But anyway, go ahead. I just had to put that in there.
So I will say that in my younger years, and even in my 30s, I was not vulnerable. I didn't want to share my feelings. I didn't want to talk about my feelings. Certain things was on a need-to-know basis. If I rocked with you like that, then you knew
Then you know
certain
something.
stuff.
Say it again, man. Say you knew.
You knew. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
But, once again, I would give credit where credit's due to Justin, because once again, given how we came together, how everything flowed, it made me want to be vulnerable with him. It made me want to share a lot of things about myself. And ladies, we know, especially Black folk, okay? Is like, don't be telling him all your business, blah, blah, blah. If you telling your business, he's going to use this against you and all this other nonsense. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not true and it doesn't happen.
Right.
However, at the same time, it's like, how can you expect to be close to someone if you aren't vulnerable and open? Like, you're close with your friends, so why can't you be close with a potential partner? So yeah, I would say you have to, um, and I know vulnerability is all about comfortability as well. So as long as you're comfortable with the person, and you can, I guess, get a sense that they are trustworthy, then you can be vulnerable. Of course, we know people have hidden agendas and things of that nature. So I would definitely say, be vulnerable, if you feel comfortable and you have a sense they are trustworthy. I would say that. So
You know what?
about you?
I raised that a bit because for me, and I wasn't like always like this, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a level of vulnerability that I'll show anyone.
Yeah.
And I do believe, to your point, it's because of how comfortable I am with myself.
Yeah.
There's nothing that anyone is going to use against me. I don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that I won't have feelings about it. It doesn't mean that it may not make me upset, but it will not be enough for me to not share what I feel I may need to, even if
Mm-hmm.
I met you for the first time. As
Right.
as an A&R, I'm meeting artists all the time, and I'm always willing to share anything. And some people are like, "No, you shouldn't do that." Like, and I'm like, I hear you. And to your point, there's a way to navigate and know. And so I usually, my spirit, my internal spirit, I listen to, and I usually know,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I'm gonna say that. Okay, cool. And I'll admit, of course, the first time that I felt that there was this transformation, this shift that was happening, it's like, I don't, should I, at work, like I don't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But man, Kelly, I tell you, vulnerability is not a weakness. It is a
Yeah.
strength. It is
It
so
is.
powerful because I tell you, anytime that I don't even think about, like literally consciously, like I'm gonna share this about myself, like use,
Mm-hmm.
fibromyalgia and the GI conditions I had, right?
Right.
Man, the love and the relatability, the connection, like the depth of what people are offering me because I shared, it's one of the reasons why I still don't mind doing it. Even when there
Right.
is a little apprehension, I'm like, I don't know if I should have said that, or, I'm thinking, man, Jay, did you hear God on that? Like, I don't, you second guessing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It usually always comes back. Jastin, I thank you so much for sharing. Da da da. And I'd be like, wow, okay, cool. God, I'll keep sharing. I'll keep doing,
Yeah.
I'll keep doing what you said because I think vulnerability too that we often forget. It's not always about us. It's for other people to feel comfortable
Correct.
to get
Correct.
things out. And oftentimes when I do this, Kelly, as you know, because she hears the stories every day, and I'm like, yo, I just had a great meeting with such and such. People are not getting it from those closest to them. And that's
That's
the
true.
part that I know those are one of my
The
superhero gifts,
gifts.
spiritual gifts.
Yes.
I'm here to help people navigate this thing, called vulnerability and other stuff, right? So it's a pretty dope thing. It really is. And
It is.
so this brings us to, discussing the core of you, like the roots of yourself. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So Kelly,
Mm-hmm.
how can we, as men and women,
Mm-hmm.
how can we peel back the layers of what society expects us to do and the self-imposed limitations to discover our true self, which, are our way of being authentic to ourselves. So I'm gonna say that one more time because I feel like this is definitely a big question and we're about to
It
go
is.
deeper. How do we peel
Yes.
back the layers of what society is expecting us to do and our self-imposed limitations to discover our true self?
I'm gonna sip some tea on that one. Stop for a second.
She's comical today, y'all. She's comical. Between the faces.
Crack myself up, guys. I do. Um,
Take your time. Take your time.
what I'm picturing in my mind, hopefully everyone has seen Shrek, the first one, when
Shrek, my
Shrek is
movie.
walking with Donkey and, Shrek is eating an onion or picks up an onion. I really can't remember it. And he's peeling back, the layers of the onion. For one, that's how we all are as humans. I would just, for starters. And then also what I'm thinking about is the clip we just played. Like you have to tell yourself to hush. You
Just shut
have
up.
to, yeah. You have to quiet those thoughts from friends, from family members, from coworkers about how you have to be so guarded and not let people in, not let people be close to you because it hinders relationships. It hinders your ability to really get to know yourself. And that's something that I'm working on. So I will put myself out there again. Once again, guys, I will say this episode, I feel attacked. I feel attacked, okay? But it's in a good way. It's in a good way. Because I was just having a conversation with Jastin the other day about how I want to get back to how I was initially in the beginning, prior to us meeting. And that is someone who was more vocal and expressed how I felt. Now, I would say, a lot of times when I expressed myself back then, I was not very tactful with how I said things. But yeah, when Justin mentioned about me being on, on joke, what did you just say? Me being on joke time or something? You just said about how I'm acting. This is me. This is me. Yes, I am very oh
Animated.
shoot. Yes, animated and things of that nature. So this is me. This is my authentic self that you guys are finally hearing. And this is episode 6. So, so it takes me a while to get there.
To warm up
But
to him, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
yes.
get it.
So yeah, I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's how you get to being your authentic self. And then also, lastly, I will say that you have to be okay with who you are, like regardless of what that looks like, what that sounds like. Like Jastin always says, you have to. What is it, babe? You have to stand 10 toes down on, on who you are. Hey, we all aren't the same. And that's okay. Like God created each of us different for a reason. So you have to embrace that.
Well said. Well said.
You have to embrace it. So I know, babe, I know I said a mouthful, okay? I know I said a mouthful. And being authentic to yourself. And that also gets me thinking about the difference between your ego self or your true self. So what's the difference? Or is there a difference?
Oh man, there's a difference. And ironically, the first thing, I mean, I guess because I'm an artist, but I'm thinking about Kanye. Yay. And
Yay.
I feel like
Yeezy.
that is a great public example of
Mm-hmm.
ego. And I know as a creative, there's a level of ego that we need to keep us sharp, to keep us focused, to bring out um, a side of us that we feel we need in, this industry, regardless of what it is. But the difference, ego is all external. It's what society wants you to be, how to be. It's often, even centered around your fears of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And true self is like down to the root of who you are, again, being authentic, having a peace and an understanding of who you truly are despite what the world wants you to be, right? Perfect
Yeah.
example, I don't consider myself a rapper, I'm an artist. Now granted, I was born with the name artist,
Yes.
Artis. And shout out to my dad and my granddad for my dad for naming me, and that was my grandfather's name.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can I interject really quickly?
Yeah.
So I would let the listeners know I did not believe his middle name was Artist when we first met. So I just put that out there.
Yeah, most people don't. It's a great conversation starter.
Yes.
But society tells me to be, this black male rapper in the way that we typically see it, that's public, in terms of some of the biggest names in the industry, right? But I knew I was not that. And there was a time where it was like, yo, I need to build up this ego so I can be like
Mm-hmm.
such and such, because that's how I'm gonna make it. Like I have a little talent in this. Enough people have told me, pursue it, okay. And there was a little of me that thought maybe that's how I have to be. But I quickly learned that is not how I have to be. And like you
Right.
said earlier, I embraced that I'm talking about stuff that not many artists are talking about, especially black men. Um, Now, I didn't come from the hood, but I know enough hood things, seen enough, but I came from the suburbs. There's still a crazy life in that too, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all of these things that were true to me, I just put into the music. And then when I found my
Yeah.
spiritual self, again, it had to be rooted into all of these things, including my flaws, things that I'm still challenged with and find difficulty with. But man, I'd rather be on that side of truth than to have this ego that's set by the world, other people, and even like let's be real. You alluded to this earlier. Even our family and friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jay, you should da 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 da. You should da da da. Quick example: I started out in computer engineering at North Carolina A&T State University. After like a month of C++, I was like, nah, bruh, I can't do this. I studied computer science and computers for like 10, 12 years that I've been in school.
Mm-hmm.
And then I switched to English. Oh man, you talking about somebody's parent being upset? Kelly, I almost broke to be like, man, I should do what she's telling me to do. Like, this is my mom, and she's older than me. She knows she's talking about like all of this stuff. And this was my first awakening into knowing my true self. It was like, yes, I know computer science. I've been wanting to do this. I want to be a programmer, but I don't love it no more.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I defined myself in this. Now I have no idea what to do. So English was the next best thing that I knew I was good in. It didn't take me long, but there was still this curve that I had to be like, yo, this is me. This like,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think this was me. I didn't think it was enough for me to turn into a career, but that was my true self. And I've been living that ever since. And has it been
Yeah.
easy? Nope. You know what I mean? People still look at me differently now, right? Um, so I think, it is, we got to get out of the society aspect of what they want us to be and the expectation because of where we're from, who we are, the gender, da 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 da. And like you said, stand on what is us, be proud of it. Again, that sometimes doesn't take as quick as we want. But I think the
No.
more that you listen to that and be that, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Kelly,
I agree.
now this is something that I know. I'm gonna go ahead and just set it up because you already in this vein anyway. But I know you are often challenged with, as we all are, but for some of us,
Hmm.
it can be, a bigger
A lot.
challenge. Yeah.
Yes.
So can you add on to anything about how do you silence the inner critic and embrace self-compassion for yourself? So we already know Les Brown told us, shut it up. Tell him to shut up.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I really loved that. Like it was very
I
bold.
did
I
too. Yes.
felt like it was so adequate, for this particular topic.
I agree. Mm. As like Justin mentioned, I deal with this. And what I do a lot of times is what Les Brown mentioned. Like I tell my inner thoughts to shut up because my inner thoughts can be a lot, which can lead to me uh like down the road of depression. Um and this is the vulnerable space for everyone. So I will say also that because of my inner thoughts and my inner critic, throughout my life, I have dealt with suicidal thoughts. Not to the point where I want to do harm to myself, but more so the thoughts of why am I here? Why am I still alive? Like life would be easier if I wasn't alive. And the list goes on and on. And with therapy, I have learned to journal how I'm feeling and to also write notes to Jastin, let him know how I'm feeling. I've learned to, this is pretty cool that my therapist, my last therapist shared with me is that if I don't feel like writing, leaving a note or whatever, draw out how I'm feeling. And that's helpful. And like we mentioned earlier, you have to find a way to replace that negative self-talk with something positive. Um, you woke up this morning, you have food in your fridge, or listen to like your favorite song that soothes you or something. And like you have to constantly feed yourself with positive thoughts and affirmations and whatever else fills you in a positive way to get you out of that space. I know for me, it takes some time, and I constantly have to do those things. If not, then it's definitely a slippery slope.
Absolutely. I love everything you said. I appreciate you. I mean, you dove in more and more as we answer these questions and shared our thoughts. I'm just proud of you, and I'm proud of the listeners that are putting in that work, whether
Yes.
this is a continuation of what they're doing, or this may be the first thing, that
Yeah.
everyone or someone is like, you know what? I'm gonna break down myself and figure some of these things out. So y'all, we thank you for listening. Today we broke down a bit and we broke it down in today's heart conversation of down to the core. Just remember, he's bending you, he's molding you to build you up or build you back up to something better. I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes.
I know.
But these things aren't about our feelings. It's about a greater purpose and a greater good for you and how you can serve the world, right? So don't stay in this negative state, this victim mentality state. State your feelings, your understanding, and then take action on what it is that you feel like you need to do. right? Quiet the noise, tell them, shut up.
Shut
Like
up.
Les Brown said. All right. So we're sending love and hugs to everyone as you continue to build the new you. Remember to pray, reflect, and repeat.
Enjoy the No Condom podcast at JastinArtis.com. That is JastinArtis. Do you miss meals? I don't think so. So don't miss an episode.
Be sure to listen to all the episodes at JastinArtis.com and on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, iHeart, Audible, and wherever you like to listen.
You can also reach us by email at ncpodcast@JastinArtis.com. Connect with us or share your thoughts on Instagram at No Condom Podcast.
And a big thank you to our wonderful team, Project Manager Shantae Sharp and Creative Director Christine Leah.
You can follow them both on Instagram at Shantae_Sharp. That's CHAUNTA_SHARP and at Christine Leah at KRISTANYLEAH. Thank you so much for listening and tune in next time.
Now take a moment to listen to the inspirational and emotionally charged anthem, Breakdown, featuring my guy, Grammy Award winner, Tone Jones. Peace and love, y'all.
So I will tear down the wall which you have plastered with whitewash and bring it down to the ground, so that its foundations will be exposed. When it falls, you will perish in its midst, and you shall know and understand fully that I am the Lord. Ezekiel 13:14.
Break yourself down so His love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do. Speak to your healing. Stop playing victim. Insights is nothing. What am I missing? Kids were sitting. Hide the feeling, evil inside my vision. Hurt the lies of Christians. I played the villain. Now I cry for healing. I forgotten my vision. Mess with no business. I can't accept the mess I left. How do I fix it? Why not listen? I let you down. Take me back as I am now. Break yourself down so His love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do. Speak to your healing. Stop playing victim. Break yourself down so His love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do. Speak to the demons. Call on Jesus. Call on. On my knees, fast no speed. You got what I need. The pressure leave. I wanna be free. Take the lead. I ride backseat. I stand the greatest but walk with fallacies. How do you trust me? My love knocked down. Who got the key? I'm a damaged chest. My pain goes deep. They know I lied. Truth set me free. Break yourself down so His love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do. Speak to your healing. Stop playing victim. Break down. Break down. Break yourself down to down. Break down to down. Come on. Break down. Break down. All the way down. Break down. Break yourself down so His love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do. Speak to your healing. Stop playing victim. Break yourself down so His love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do. Speak to the demons. Call on Jesus. Every broken heart can pump new blood. Let yourself bleed to be free. Stop drowning in your shame. Overdose in joy. Inject truth in your veins to relieve this pain. Break yourself down, down, down. Let God's love grow in you again. Break, 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 break. yourself down so it's love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do. Speak to your healing. Stop playing victim. Break yourself down so it's love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do. Speak to the demons. Call on Jesus. Come on, break down. Break down. Break down. Break yourself down. Turn it around. Come on. Break down. Say it, y'all. I know I need to let us down. I know I need to let us down. Keep it going. Break down. Break. Find that deepest person in you and break them down. Break them down. Cut that evil off. You ain't like that. That's not you. Change. Let's see that smile really shine. Take that evil out of you. Break yourself down so it's love can come through. The darkness in your smile cannot change unless you do.